4 on Sunday. Not 5.
It's the East Coast start time. I just have it different times.
Historic Hayward Field, where we have a beautiful sunny day here at the Emerald Valley in Eugene, Oregon. I'm your host for TrackTown Live, Jordan Kent, joined by what many people consider the voice of Hayward Field, Paul Swangard. Paul, how are we doing this afternoon?
It's great. Great to have you here joining us for what is really the setting of the stage for what will be an amazing week of track and field here. We bring the NCAA championships back to historic Hayward Field. 8 consecutive years. We had the 9th a year ago, and I think this is adding just to that excitement, getting everybody ready and looking forward to the action ahead on the track and in the field for what hopefully will be a wonderful championships in 2014.
As Paul mentioned, Hayward Field, home of the 2014 NCAA Track and Field Championships, and of course those championships would not have made their way here without the help of a couple gentlemen. We're joined here by Vin Lanana. He's the Associate Athletic Director at the University of Oregon, also the Championship Director. Along his side, we've also got the CEO of the Track and Field Coaches Association, Sam Seams. Gentlemen, your thoughts as you get set for this championship meet just a couple days away now?
Well, we're excited about it. You can see with the people behind us that are warming up. This is like the calm before the storm, and we're excited about a fantastic storm over the next 4 days.
Sam, you were instrumental in helping get the coaches behind this idea of bringing a championship event to a single venue for a long period of time. As you come back to Eugene this for the second year in a row, just talk about your excitement for building on the momentum of 2013.
Well, one, it's great to be in Eugene. Two, I was so excited I came out on Saturday just not to make sure not miss anything. But we're trying to do everything possible. Obviously, it's the NCAA championships. There's no individual. It just goes out and makes a decision. But we're trying to work with the NCAA and with the host institution that Oregon has a long-term contract on this to try and make the outdoor track and field championship a true event along with a championship, because we've got to do everything that we can to recognize the great sport that we have and the great student athletes that we have in this sport. We've somehow took it to the witness protection program for a few years, and we got to get it out of that moving forward, and this is a step in doing that.
Well, and Vin, we've worked together on a lot of events over the years, and I think the message you send to all the, whether it be the officials or the in-stadium production crew or anyone associated with staging one of these types of events at Hayward Field, is this really becomes the venue for the athletes. And the feeling here is that any athlete coming here to compete on any stage would come here to compete at their best. And the fans really, while they obviously cheer for some of the colors that they're familiar with, I think they cheer for every team and every athlete with the hope that they'll perform at their best at this great venue.
Well, what we have is we have track savvy fans. So whether you're a shot putter or a triple jumper or a runner, if you perform at 100%, our crowd recognizes that 100%, and that connection between the athletes and the spectators back to the athletes is something spectacular, and that's what really makes this Hayward Field experience something special.
And Sam, we've seen a lot of attention on the championships for basketball and football when it comes to collegiate sports. But recently, there's been an increase in interest in baseball and softball. How encouraging is that for you for track and field, where a lot of people say this is the greatest annual meet that you'll see, because a lot of these college athletes are world-class competitors at this level?
Well, it's both encouraging and discouraging. It's encouraging to see what can be done. It's discouraging that we haven't really been a part of that. And there's a huge effort right now with the NCAA to make us a part of that. And as that opportunity, the door is opened, which it has opened now, is that we've got to make sure and take advantage of that so that the sport can be exposed and so that the student athletes can have this wonderful experience that they are having at the Final Four and at the Frozen Four and the College World Series.
So can you talk about some of the things that student athletes coming to Eugene this week will have a chance to experience, the hospitality, the experience of being a championship caliber athlete coming to their national championship?
Well, when we met with the NCAA and we talked about this long-term proposal, what we did is we focused on three things. We focused on, number one, the quality of the student-athlete experience. And from the time they arrive in either Portland or in Eugene, they're met by our volunteers, and everything they could ever want, we take care of them. The second thing that we did was what the survey from the athletes indicated, that when they have a packed house, that's the most important thing. Nothing's worse than giving it 100% effort and not having a full stadium. So that was the second thing we did. And the third was really to work long-term with the NCAA to create this sense of partnership. So University of Oregon and Hayward Field and TrackTown is not just a host. We're actually partners with the NCAA, and that's what we sold them, and it's up to us now to deliver.
And in terms of the interaction with the Coaches Association, what role do you guys see yourselves playing in offering either advice, feedback, a channel where the coaches, if they do have constructive things they want to bring to your attention, is the dialogue really healthy and people starting to see this really being the right model moving forward? And we've got to try it because we've committed to it now for the next 8 years.
Well, our true mission is to represent the coaches, to be a representative, to be an activist, just like other professional associations. But for the profession of coaching to grow in collegiate track and field, the sport's got to grow because it creates opportunities. And so we try to talk in those terms. One thing that's very unusual about track and field, good, bad, or indifferent compared to other sports, is they coach cross country, they coach indoor track, they coach outdoor track. So it's harder to create and continue a dialogue because of the commitments that they have just about 12 months a year. But we try and keep that out in front of everybody, and we try and keep pointed on. Make the sport better, we make the profession better.
And as you aim to make that sport better, there's obviously a lot of great performances. What is one event that both of you are looking forward to as we get set to kick off the meet in a couple of days here?
Well, I'm excited about the team championship. There's been several times in the last few years that the meet has come down to the 4x4, and I guess if you're a director, that's how you would script it. And it looks like that sure might happen here. So I'm looking for the build-up and the big conclusion on the end. We got some outstanding individuals and some outstanding teams, and I think Saturday afternoon, actually, the bomb's going to go off in those 4x4s. For
me, it's the first event that goes off. Once that gun goes off of the decathlon at 11:30 on Wednesday, that's what I'm excited about seeing, and every other event after it.
Well, Vin, Sam, thank you so much for joining us. Really looking forward to this championship meet, and I know a lot of people are ecstatic the fact that it's going to be at Hayward Field for a long time, and of course this is the home of many historic performances, hoping for many more of those. So much more to come up here on TrackTown Live. When we come back, we'll show some love to the SEC as a couple Georgia Bulldogs will join us. Make sure you stick around.
Here in the West, we have our own unique perspective. Visionary, innovative, progressive. This is our blueprint for excellence. It's what makes us the Conference of Champions.
The administrators, educators, coaches, and fans of the Missouri Valley Conference expect nothing but the best from their teams. And the Valley student athletes take pride in exceeding that expectation. On the field, on the court, on the track, and in the classroom. Celebrating academic and athletic excellence for more than 100 years. This is the Missouri Valley Conference.
Welcome back into TrackTown Live. Jordan Kent joined by Paul Swangard. We just got done talking to Championship Director Vin Lanana and the CEO of the Track and Field Coaches Association, Sam Seams. We now turn our attention to some of the athletes that will be competing. And right now we start in the SEC with the Georgia Bulldogs. Please welcome in Kendall Williams and Petros Kiprianou, 6-year assistant. How was the trip to Eugene, first of all? It's a little bit of a travel for you guys.
It was long.
And Kendall, how'd you handle the flight?
I slept most of the flight, actually. Of course, when I watched a couple movies. It wasn't bad, though, at all.
All right, that's good. Well, you guys are here. You've landed. Tell me about kind of your preparation for this first day so far.
Well, we wanted to make sure that, they get enough sleep last night, get in, wake up as early as possible because we're 3 hours ahead. from the West Time. So, you know, we show up here, got a little practice in, got our legs loosen up, and we're here.
Well, Vinland, I was talking about his I think it was a political line. He says, you know, when he sees the first gun go off for the first event in the decathlon, he feels like that's the exciting moment when the championships begin. You guys are here because right out of the gate, you've got your multi-event specialist going. You got the top 2 ranked in the decathlon. You got a pretty good one here in the heptathlon. Even though you get stuck in elevators, we want to talk about that later. But let's talk about you building this multi-event juggernaut down in Georgia. And we've got great names from the past, Hylise Fountain and others, but you've come along and put a focus on it. Was that your vision, and how did you go about building on that vision?
Yeah, actually, you know, you can't do that without the support of the head coach and the administration. I mean, you know, trusting my vision in the multi-events, and obviously, like you said earlier, with Hylise being our flag, you know, of our sheep. It makes things a lot easier to jumpstart a multi-events tradition, or continue, might say. So I was fortunate enough to be around good people. Obviously, Kendall grew up in Georgia, and it was easy to get it going. But those guys also bought into to our vision of building let's say a powerhouse in the multi-event. So we're grateful for that.
Not so bad to begin with, and we'll talk a little bit about you drawing on a lot of international talent. But you talk about a local talent that comes right from out of your backyard. Let's give him a. You don't have to even look at him when you talk about it, but what makes him a coach that you really want to compete for and practice for day in and day out?
Well, it was really important to find a coach that was really patient. Because I was coached by my dad all my life, and he was obviously very patient with me. So I wanted someone that wasn't gonna like scream and yell and make me feel bad, you know. So Petros is really like encouraging all the time, and I really like his energy. You know, he's a young coach, so it was good to have someone that you can really kind of connect with and kind of talk to about anything, and you're just comfortable with him. So that really drew me here.
And Kendall, your transition to college, it's very difficult for a lot of high school athletes coming in, but how have you handled it? What has been probably the greatest lesson you've learned so far in this season?
My transition was actually really, really easy. My brother is he now is going to be a junior there, so that was a very easy transition. I already knew a lot of people that were on the team, so and then I'm not too far from home, so it was a pretty good transition. But I've learned a lot about time management just by dealing with classes. But other than that, like, it's been pretty good.
You go through the indoor season and you have this amazing world junior record performance, and I guess talk with your coach on that particular performance. You expect that from her this early on in her career. She's, I think, the first American to break 6,000 points in the heptathlon. As you were recruiting her and thinking about how you were going to place some goals in front of her that first season, where did you start, and is it overarching what you even imagined she'd do?
Well, I mean, as long as you have the talent, you know, sky's the limit. But looking at her individual events, obviously the hurdles and her jumps are tremendous. So putting the numbers down and kind of envision her training full-time for the heptathlon, I could see that score coming, but not this soon.
And,
this early.
And going into this particular event, you come in with the top-ranked season best, but the champion from last year, Lindsey Fulmer of Kansas, is back. She actually has a better lifetime best from you. Just that should be one of the early great events to watch, and just getting excited about that head-to-head competition. Do you see it as head-to-head, or I mean, it's a larger field, obviously, but
right? Yeah, no, I definitely know that there are a lot of good competitors out there, and so I'm just ready. I'm excited to see how it all goes.
And have you been to Hayward before?
No, never.
Okay, and just what's your experience of coming here Thursday? I like to say that my favorite part of announcing track here at Hayward Field is coming that day before and watching you all get off the bus for that first time of kind of seeing and experiencing this place. Was it special for you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know, it's cool to actually be able to run somewhere that you've only seen on TV, like you only heard about. But I'm excited to be at TrackTown.
Yeah, and did you get any advice from Hylise or anybody else who's competed here before about how to factor in the crowd and the conditions? And you know, Jackie Joyner-Kersee, you know, famously always used to complain about her asthma this time of year because of the conditions that you find yourself in. But what's the best piece of advice you got from anyone getting prepared for this week?
I think just to relax, stay focused, you know, execute how you know how to execute, and you'll be fine.
Easy enough.
Easy enough. Now, we're always interested about the team concept, too. How does it help being at this level? How do your teammates help you out with their support and just the fact that some of them have been here before and that this is your time here?
Yeah, they're extremely, extremely supportive, the ones that have been here before, and also the new ones. They're just excited to see us compete, and we know how good we are, and so we just try to support each other and like cheer each other on to do our best.
And you got a little United Nations growing down there. And, is that fun, too, to be so close to home, but yet getting a chance to experience different cultures and different personalities?
Yeah, before I came here, like, you know, I've never met anyone from Greece or Cyprus or anything, Great Britain, so it was cool to come here and experience all the cultures and kind of learn about it and stuff.
Excellent. Well, Petros, Kendall, thank you so much for joining us. Best of luck this week. And as one of the things we love about the NCAA meet is the fact that you are going to see a lot of big schools like Georgia, Oregon, these other Pac-12 SEC powerhouses. But in addition, there are athletes from schools that aren't necessarily big-name track and field schools. Right now, we're going to take a closer look at Antoinette Goodman from North Dakota State University. She qualified for 4 events in the preliminary rounds. She'll be competing in the 4x4 and 200 here at Hayward Field this week.
Never lost a 200 at the conference championships, indoors or outdoors. She anchors our relays. That tells you a lot. Like in the 4x1, there's no question that we're going to put her on the end of that relay. She's so dominant in the Summit League. Track is objective enough. If you look at the time, she's the school record holder in the 100 and 200 by a large margin. I mean, she's the best sprinter we've ever had.
I mean, it feels great. Coming in as a freshman, I never expected to do as well as I'm doing now, so being able to hear that feels good, I guess.
You know, one of the funny things about Antoinette is that if you asked her what her personal best times are, she probably couldn't tell you exactly. So I don't think she thinks about it that much. You know, I think she enjoys competition. She loves to try and win races. She loves the relays, but in terms of the impact that she's made, I don't think she realizes how profound that's been.
As a team, just seeing like relays like our 4x4 and our sprint medley at Drake Relays, we come out there and knowing everyone underestimates us. They don't think that we can go out there and do it, and we do it because we compete as a team and we know what we all can do.
Well, one of the things that we're trying to figure out right now is what's too much. When you go to the NCAA championships, you go to the preliminary round, you have to qualify into the final round. So she's qualified in the long jump, she's qualified in the 100, she's qualified in the 200, the 4x100, and the 4x400. That's a lot of events to do in 3 days. So we're trying to decide what we're going to focus on.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think looking back, I'm always going to be very proud that I was a part of such a great tradition, and being able to just share that success with my team is awesome. Well, everyone's always trying to beat NDSU. They want to beat us, and it's like we know that, and we know what we can do, so we go out there and we challenge ourselves and we push ourselves, and we don't give up.
Welcome back into TrackTown Live. Jordan Kent joined by Paul Swangar. We've just had a chance to talk to a couple of athletes from the University of Georgia, also championship director Vin Lanana. And as we get set for this meet, Paul, plenty of coverage on television. Yeah, it's and part of the goal of getting more exposure to the sport. So our friends at ESPN will be coming up on the first day of competition on Wednesday with live coverage on ESPN3 beginning just before the hour of 4 o'clock Pacific time. They'll come back the same start time on Thursday, and then more live coverage on ESPNU both Friday and Saturday. Friday will start about 4:30 in the afternoon, and then live coverage 2 o'clock Pacific time. That 2 to 4 block of time on your Saturday West Coast time, 5 to 7 East. Definitely, if you can't be there, got to TiVo it. This is going to be, as they've said, one of the great last days of competition. You'll see it at arguably what is. I got a lot of friends in track and field. They love the NCAA championships because it is team, it's individual, and it usually comes down to the last event of the day, and Saturday will be awesome. Paul, I love the throwback reference to TiVo. I think a lot of people call it DVR nowadays, but either way, get it recorded. So someone's older than you are. Yeah. At least I didn't say 8-track. Yeah, this is true, or put in the VHS tape right there. So as you can see behind us, athletes are practicing. It's the first day of open practice, and amongst these hundreds of athletes that are here this week, 16 of them are here to defend their national titles, including Dartmouth's Abby DiAgostino. She is the 2-time defending champ in the women's 5K, and she will look to become the first female athlete since Lauren Fleshman to three-peat in that event. Lauren, by the way, went to Stanford. Here's a closer look at Abby along with the Dartmouth SID.
Hello, I'm Pat Salvas. Thanks for joining us on this DartmouthSports.com and USTF CCCA Student Athlete Spotlight. with Abby D'Agostino, 7-time national champion in track and field and cross country. Abby, thanks for taking the time to sit down with us. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, Pat. Thanks for having me.
Abby, you're attempting to become just the 3rd woman to win 3 straight 5,000 meters in the outdoor. How does preparing for this championship differ than 2013 for your back-to-back title, or even the first one in 2012 for your first, I guess, national championship overall?
Yeah. I guess, you know, the biggest difference is just the sense that this is my last race in a Dartmouth uniform. You know, nothing about sort of the race strategy or the way I'm going to attempt, you know, I think that all stays the same. But yeah, I'm really just going to try to seize the moment because I think running with that Dartmouth uniform has been an incredible motivating force for me. And yeah, I think it's going to be different for me to put on a new uniform now and you know, have that team still, I guess that team feeling behind me, but it'll be different. So, but having teammates there to accompany me through this experience and to have their own experience at Eugene is going to be really special. And so, yeah, that immediate presence, I think, is what's going to make this different.
Well, take us through the recruiting process just a little bit in terms of, you know, who
Welcome back. So our apologies about that video right there. Now, Abby told us she didn't really want us to give out all of her training secrets. She didn't want to give her that 3rd title. But anyway, Paul, Abby, incredible athlete. What can you say about her?
Well, you can't say enough. I mean, she's just she's got a tenacity at that middle distance and proves it every time we see her on the track. She's going to have an interesting battle this week, though. Aisling Cuff of Stanford now ahead of her on the all-time collegiate list as she banged out a wonderful 5K down at Stanford a few weeks ago, won the Pac-10 title, set the Pac-12 record at 5,000 meters, and so they'll be battling now number 3 and number 4 all time. Just to pump up again that live coverage on ESPN3, I know the folks at Dartmouth are actually setting up a watch party to watch her 5,000. Now, if that's not a good sign for track and field, that people are organizing watch parties to watch, in particular, this athlete compete at her championship, it's great and speaks to not only what she's done individually, but also the support she's gotten from folks back at Dartmouth.
Well, that's what we were saying to Sam. For this, in order to keep pace with baseball, with softball, with the other championships, the Frozen Four, you want to see excitement like that. You want to see things like watch parties and schools getting behind their athletes and supporting them. And obviously, we're looking for individual championships here. That's what a lot of people keep their eye on. But those points do add up. And as we head into this meet, Paul, what are some of the top teams you're seeing on the men's and women's side that are going to be jockeying for position?
Yeah, I mean, we've been looking at the projections and, fuzzy math, obviously, but it really is on the men's side going to be a battle between Florida and Oregon. They seem to be the two that stand out from the rest. The women's race, a lot more interesting. A&M in the mix, Texas, and obviously the Oregon women. As we go through the next couple of days of our broadcast, we'll kind of get into the weeds a little bit on, it really is going to be specific events for specific teams. And in the case of Oregon, Jenna Prandini's carrying an awfully big load, being expected to score in the 100, 200, and the long jump. And conceivably, it's going to, like it did at the indoor season, come down to that last 4x400 meter relay. In the case indoors at Albuquerque this year was the Oregon women, with Phyllis Francis leaning at the line to give the Ducks that championship. And who knows, it could come down to that race again here outdoors to crown a champion in 2014.
And there's always a lot of attention on the star power in each event, but for a lot of these teams, what dictates the championship, Paul, is those 5th, those 6th place finishes that get you those last couple extra points that maybe you didn't expect, where the form chart really breaks up between the 5th to 10th ranked athlete, between scoring and not scoring. That's where a lot of these teams look to hope to recoup some points.
No question. I mean, there are cases with like A&M and with Florida and with Texas where they've got 2 or 3 athletes in one event, all projected to score. So you got to get those kids through the rounds and get them into the semifinals and obviously into the finals. But then they all got to score where you see them fit. We'll talk in a little bit about Megan Petronelli, who's coming in from Oregon, not scheduled to score on the women's side in the steeplechase, but has the capability, right time, right venue, right opportunity to get those needed points that could be the difference, really, as you point out, between winning that first place trophy or finishing, in this case, in second.
Well, if you had to bet on a team from a conference in order to win this championship, you might not want to look outside the SEC. 5 of the top 7 women's ranked teams come from the conference. 6 of the top 8 men's teams come from the conference. And the Arkansas Razorback women, they won their first SEC outdoor title since 2001, so they bring in a lot of attention as they get set for the 2014 championships. Let's take a closer look at the team.
Mere words can't express the power of competition. You just know it's there. 10 teams, 1 goal. The Big 12 Conference. On the Western Edge, we offer our own brand of epic. We don't just compete, we bring home championships. We don't just play games, we reinvent them. When measured in awards won and banners hung, no other conference comes close. This is our blueprint for excellence. It's what makes us the Conference of Champions.
The Sun Belt Conference. Together we compete. Together we win. Together we care. Together we are. The Sun Belt Conference. Together we rise.
Welcome back into TrackTown Live. Jordan Kent joined by Paul Swangard. And not too long ago, we talked to an SEC team, the Georgia Bulldogs, that had quite the trip to get here to Eugene, Oregon. Now we show some love to the hometown team, and not much of a travel, about a 5-minute car ride, basically, to get here. But we're joined by head coach Robert Johnson and senior steeplechaser Megan Petronelli. How are both of you doing?
Good, thank you.
Good. And so how nice is it, Megan, I want to talk to you about having the championship meet at your home track. It doesn't get any more convenient than that.
Yeah, it's so nice. I mean, we don't have to travel anywhere, which is great. And, of course, we have all of our loyal fans. And, I mean, that's huge for us coming down that last stretch during a race, or even for all the field events and everything. Just having that hometown support is huge.
And Robert, you have a situation where they're in the midst of finals week, which adds a little bit of complexity to getting these kids sort of focused on the job at hand. Do you set them up as though this is a road trip, and are they not having the comforts of home? What do you do to prepare them the right way?
Yeah, before I get into that, let me first take the time to thank all the teams that come here. Thank you guys for putting this on. It's one of the things that we pride ourselves on, is putting on a good product and a good show here at the University of Oregon, and all the teams that traveled here. We're definitely grateful that the NCAA chose to pick us and make this a home event for the Ducks for some obvious reasons. But as far as the preparation for our team and the things that we're looking forward to, we 100% set it up as an away meet. You know, a lot of distractions, friends, family, final exams you mentioned there. I hear oftentimes about the home field advantage that the Ducks have. I would almost be willing to trade, probably not trade, because the fans here make this a really special place, but the ability to focus 100% on what you're doing, that's a huge advantage that nobody has to deal with but the Ducks here this weekend. And while everybody else is going to class or going to warm-up shakeouts and their normal team stuff, we'll be getting up in the morning and going to class. So it's one of the things that's the hand that we've been dealt. We're not going to moan and cry about it. I think our team has been prepared and known that this was one of the things that's coming, and that's part of the thing that we try to teach, is the fear of the unknown. No being nervous about what you already know. And we know that we're going to have to take exams, and our kids are prepared for that. We know what it's like to run at Hayward Field, and we know how special that is, coming off the Bowerman curve there. And we're excited to be here. So I think our team is ready and good to go, and couldn't be more excited to get this thing underway.
Well, I know for you, Megan, it's great to have this way to cap your career here at Oregon. We were at the track banquet about a week ago and talked about your way in which you stepped into a new role at the cross-country season, really stepping into the void where a lot of really talented people had graduated from the program, and you were recognized for that part of your time here at Oregon. You come into this situation where I'm sure you have high expectations, but as we look at people's predictions of where you might fit in this race, you're not expected to score, but I'm sure you come in with the feeling that you could, in perhaps your final race in an Oregon uniform, really help maybe achieve what has long been a desired dream of the whole squad, which is to bring home a national championship trophy outdoors. How do you prepare yourself for that possibility of making a difference to the team race?
Yeah, I think going along what Coach Johnson said, we control what we can control. And so I'm not really worried about like seed times or predictions or anything. I'm just focused on my race and what I can do. And I think in terms of like team stuff, half the battle is getting to the regional meet, and we qualified, I think, 20 women. So, I mean, we're here, and once you're here, anything can happen. So I think everyone's really pumped up and ready to just do what they can do, and hopefully at the end of the day that brings back a team title.
And Coach, we know that coaches pay no attention to the form chart or any of those standings or predictions, and a lot of the fans at home are going to be looking at the favorites in each event. But when it comes to scoring and when it comes to pursuing a team title, we were just talking about it. What can you say about the importance of getting those 8th, 7th, and 6th place finishes to grab those couple of points? They aren't as attractive, of course, as the winners, but those really do add up towards a championship.
Yeah, we call those fighter points on our team, because those make a huge difference in the overall outcome of the meet. And we like to think of our team as a blue-collar team that likes to work and scrap for everything that we get. Our team has definitely focused and put its attention on this meet all year long, as far as how we set up things all year, as far as our schedule is concerned, to really try to hit it during the championship season. Megan mentioned that we have 20 women. We also have 19 men, making a total of 39 competitors here. So as far as scheduling and trying to hit it, I think we've done that well. As far as the forms charts go, yeah, you're going to get the coaches that say that they don't pay attention to those things, but they're blind or they don't have eyes if they don't see them because they're plastered everywhere. And we of course we see them, but as far as buying into them and what they mean, you know, just like you were talking to Megan about the predictions there. You know, we like to think here for the Ducks that Megan has just as good a shot to score as anybody out there in the field, and we feel good about that. And those scores are so close across the board, it's basically anybody's meat. And so as far as our anticipation is the scores and the form charts, we don't look towards Saturday. There's somebody up there that sits in the box that keeps the score and adds up all of those points. Our focus will be on Wednesday. There is no Thursday without Wednesday. And so all of our focus, all of our attention will be on Wednesday, getting through those rounds and those heats.
So, Megan, as you look ahead to getting through this and getting from one day to the other, I assume still feeling like this is an event where you got a lot of upside, and if you continue to improve in the places you feel like you can make up time to be more competitive, you're going to do that. You got Shalea Kipp up in front, and she's the class of the field obviously coming in. We saw her perform very well up in Pullman at the Pac-12 Championships, a former NCAA champion here a couple of years ago. Where is your focus right now on your race, and what do you feel will be the difference that you need to make to be in that running for a top place?
Well, I mean, I've been training really well, and I've run a couple of steeples this season so far, and I've practiced a little bit of different things. And my main focus right now is just to, on Wednesday, be in the top 5 and qualify. And after that, I'll think of another strategy for Friday. But right now, I'm going into Wednesday just as if that's my only race, and just going to qualify, finish top 5, and then after that, see what I can do from there. And the goal is obviously score as high as possible, and I don't think that there's any limit on what I can do. And
number 2 on the all-time list, I'll give her that credit, and because I'm an academic, I have to congratulate her, because the most important thing she's going to do this weekend is graduate, which is a tremendous achievement. And tell people what you're going to do after you've spent all this money on your education.
Well, I still have 1 season of cross-country left, so I'm planning on coming back next fall, take some grad classes, and finish out my time here, and then figure out things from there.
And what's your major?
Human physiology.
Human phys. So the next great sports medicine person is sitting
Maybe
here with us. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Well, we're excited to watch you run, but as Paul can tell you, even more excited to watch you walk across the podium this weekend as you get your degree. Coach Johnson, Megan, thank you so much for joining us. Best of luck this week. All right, when we come back, we'll have a chance to chat with some ACC athletes, also some NCAA championship alumni. They'll share their experience on how they've won titles here at Hayward Field. Stick around. You're watching TrackTown Live.
Go Ducks, baby.
And the 2014 Pac-12 Track and Field champions, their 6th straight championship, 176 points against Robert Johnson and the women of Oregon. And our 2014 Pac-12 Track and Field champions, their 8th consecutive Pac-12 championship, Robert Johnson and the men of Oregon.
6 and 8 is the number, and year after year it's just our coaching staff goes out and scours the country, scours the nation, and finds the best student athletes that we can get. We bring them in, try to coach them up and develop them, and they do a good job. You know, we have a great group of kids throughout. We're pretty much a balanced program. We score in a lot of different events, and it seems to work for us Ducks. They definitely know how to do the fun part really well, and it's good. You know, they've been successful. They've worked hard all weekend long, and so for them to celebrate at the end like that is definitely fitting. We love the Ducks. The Ducks love us. We had a lot of people in the stands. Our fans are road tested, and they travel a lot, and so we couldn't be more proud and more thankful for them, and can't wait to the next step in this process.
Ducks on 3. 1, 2, 3. Yes!
Welcome back to TrackTown Live. Jordan Kent joined by Paul Swangard. We just got done talking to Coach Robert Johnson of the Oregon Ducks as he looks to lead his men and women to outdoor titles. As those teams aim for those titles, a lot of individuals will be winning individual titles themselves. And at this time, we are joined by 2 gentlemen that have established that unbelievable accomplishment. We've got Andrew Weeding and Charles Jock, a couple of 800-meter champions. Andrew, you've also had a 1,500-meter title. How does it feel to be graduated NCAA alumni and come back to this meet? Do you just kind of feel like big time walking around with everybody here and they try to get what you have already?
No, well, it's I don't know. Hayward Field has that magic, so it doesn't matter. I think really if I've run I don't know X times or run so fast or won so titles. I think just being on Hayward itself is a privilege, and I mean I don't take it for granted. So I just love being around here in this atmosphere. You know, the crowd here they know track, so they know who the athletes are. They know who's running. They know what they've done. So it's not just a simple show up and race. It's a simple show up and appreciate everything, because everybody here knows what you've done, and I think we're spoiled. We are spoiled to be able to train here.
Oh, definitely, most definitely. For me, it's a little different. I mean, I remember the nervousness that I had going into NCAAs and the amount of tension and the crazy atmosphere. So it's kind of nice being on the other side now and being a spectator and watching the athletes kind of go through it and deal with it, and being part of the crowd, and cheering and banging on the side of the wall. I'm looking forward to that.
Can you take us back to that championship moment when you toe the line knowing you've got this legitimate shot to win an NCAA title, and what advice do you give the young men and women who are going to be competing this week? Because I assume for a lot of them it's like sensory overload, just kind of wrapping your head around the opportunity. But how did you guys in particular handle that situation? What advice would you give?
Yeah, I think for me it was there was this rivalry built up between myself and Robbie Andrews that year, and that was my focus. It was me in this race, and it was just do my own plan, stick to my own plan, and accomplish my own goal. I think the advice I would give is don't get sucked into other people's races, or don't get your head outside of don't start thinking outside of your own head. Because there's fans, there's experience, there's lots of fun, there's all this energy, but it's easy to slip into somebody else's race and lose focus. And in that brief moment, in an 800 especially, you can lose it. And so when you start paying attention to one athlete, 2, 3, 4 of them have already gone, and you've missed it. So it's real important to kind of just stick to your own race plan and stay focused.
And what we've talked about on this show so far this afternoon is just the goal to get collegiate track and field, at least at the championship level, on par with what we're seeing with softball, baseball, hockey. Obviously, football and basketball, they're at a whole nother level right now. What are some things the two of you would like to see the sport try and do in the next few years as far as getting more exposure on these incredible athletes?
I mean, I think we have a pretty good idea of what we need to do just based off what we have here at Hayward. I mean, we get, the crowd's always excited to come to track meets. There's a lot of excitement just around the community. TrackTown and Nike do a big part of building that excitement. We have TrackTown Tuesdays. Where the community comes in and they kind of hear from us, and they hear from the U of O athletes, and it's just, I think building that excitement by involving the community would be I'd say primary.
Did you have an epiphany moment here in TrackTown where you first either got recognized by someone, that moment where, oh, I'm not where I used to be?
Oh, yeah, it's definitely on the trails. You run around the trails, and we do a lot of workouts on the trails, and every now and then you'll just see somebody, and they'll be like, oh, hey, I saw you race the other day. You're Charles Jock. And that part of it is so exciting, and you're like, whoa, I'm somewhere else. I'm somewhere where track is super popular. This is not the rest of the country.
I think also it's easy to understand how fast a mile is, because we drive a mile, we walk a mile, run a mile. When you say someone, oh, I run a mile in 3:55, or so for some of us, it's like that's a big deal. People get that. But if you say to someone, hey, I run a 1500 in 3:30, they're like, oh, so is that a mile? I think educating a lot of people who want to watch track and field, they don't really understand what it means to run so-and-so, or to throw so-and-so, or do all the different events. So I think there's a certain educational portion to it that the general public kind of lacks a little bit. So if you want to get them all kind of focused, you got to explain what the difference is in meters and feet, and kind of show them what fast really is, because everybody gets the 100-meter sprint is the fastest man on the planet who can get to the line first, and it's just a bit of a lack of a connection there.
So we're going to stick with the 1,500 meters for now, because that's the race we're going to run this week. I would assume you guys have an opinion or two on this men's 1,500, which is shaping up to be pretty exciting. Lalang, obviously, one of the classes of the field. We can go up all the way to 5,000 and 10,000 meters with Cheserek, but what are you guys looking forward to in terms of just being track fans at arguably the greatest track meet the colleges have?
Well, I'm looking forward to that 1,500. I think Lowry setting that 3:36 early in the conference meet, that blew my mind. That was a great race. So much tactics in there. It was just really fast, and you've got guys out there who are capable of that and haven't shown it yet. So if he goes out and pushes that pace, be interesting to see who can keep up and who would push from there. But I mean, he's got that 5K. So whether or not he's going to stick to that fast race plan, if he's going to be slow and tactical. It's a real gamble, but you know, I would like to see him push it again, and I'd like to see Mac Fleet kind of like slip out from under nowhere and just take it from him.
Yeah, Fleet was you know, the champion last year, and not necessarily surprising everyone, but I think kind of really burst onto the scene with that. What's the race you're looking forward to?
I'm definitely looking forward to a few events, you know, the 400 and the 800s, just because I run them, and I've seen some pretty fast times earlier this year, so I want to see people back them up, and I want to see, you know, something crazy happen. And then also the 1500. You know, I'm rooting for my boy Mac. I've known him for, you know, he's from San Diego. I'm a San Diego kid. I've been running against him since 2006, I think. So and I'll kind of want to see him come back and get the crown again.
So very quickly before we let you guys go, you've been running well this season. Had some good times down in Puerto Rico. I think you ran pretty well. We haven't seen you since September. When are we going to see you again?
Well, less than a week, Sunday. So going Sunday afternoon, Sunday night at the Portland Track Festival. I'm looking to do a 1500, and I'm itching to race. I'm ready for it. I'm not afraid of anything. So whatever happens, I'm going for it.
Yeah, well, there's no better place for you guys. I love the fact that you guys are in the stands this week, but there's absolutely no better place than seeing you guys on the track. And best of luck for the rest of the season. And we hope more than anything else you get back healthy. I know you love being out here, and we love seeing you out here.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. I'd love to be out here again.
Yeah, well, thanks again for joining us, guys. I know it'll be a lot less nerves in the stands as you watch this year as opposed to run. And so we've taken a look at the SEC, the Pac-12. It's time to now take a closer look at the ACC. And the class of the conference on the women's side, the Florida State Seminoles. They won the Triple Crown for the conference this season, cross-country, indoor, and outdoor titles. Let's take a closer look at their outdoor title clinching performance.
Well, the women winning the Triple Crown, that was their goal at the beginning of the year. Coach Harvey and cross country make that possible. They get it started. Indoor track, I thought of the 3 championships, cross country might have been the most comfortable, but then here comes Virginia and we had to rally. Indoor track, I felt like we had our best, dominating every event, went really well. We had some injuries, we had some tactical turns and points here between us, Miami, and Notre Dame. We had to rally at the end to make sure we won this one. So the women, you know, in the outdoor championship, that was the toughest one of the 3, but they're not easy in this league.
Well, it's a great feeling. I mean, what more can you ask for besides the NCAA title? And I feel like that's what we're going for, and it feels amazing. Indoor and outdoor. My freshman year, I can't ask anything else.
Last night I told him, I said, look, I don't care what the dope sheet says. I don't care what we're supposed to get. Every one of you needs to focus and take care of your business. You don't all of a sudden become a competitor. You gotta be a competitor whether you're ahead or you're behind, because there's gonna be a point we're gonna have to chase somebody down. And so I felt like a lot of our kids did that today. Probably a much better day today than we had on Friday for the ladies, and we needed it because there was Notre Dame, there was Miami. Both those programs did a great job.
I mean, we're FSU, like Jameis Winston said. We're the best. Like, I feel like we haven't given anybody a doubt to actually doubt about it, that we're not the best. So that's what we do. Yes, I'm very happy. My knee recovered amazingly. I had a whole FSU crew behind me to support me through it, and I feel like that's why I'm here and I won it, and it feels amazing.
Welcome back to TrackTown Live. Jordan Kent with Paul Swangard. You just saw right there the Florida State women and their Triple Crown performance in the ACC this season. Now we're joined by head coach Bob Brayman and one of his men's athletes, Dentarius Locke. And welcome back to Eugene, Florida State. I know it's quite the trip for you guys. We appreciate you making it out here. But, Coach, what can you say about the Hayward Field crowd in TrackTown USA?
Well, it's incredible. And the first time the kids get out here, have never been here before, they go, wow, that track looks bigger on TV, you know, and they get to run a few laps on it, and they feel like, oh my gosh, I'm running too fast. So there is a little magic, little excitement, and you know, we want them to catch that. We want them to do their lifetime best, but you got to be a little control as well, where you came here, here's what you're supposed to do, you've been doing all year, and execute your plan.
It's almost like one of those Hoosier moments where you have to bring out the measuring stick to show them that the circle's still the same distance as it always is, and the lanes are the still same distance.
That's correct.
What's your feeling about being on this track? I know you're not only a great athlete, but you're a big student of the sport. You follow the sport pretty closely, and I'm sure you kind of think about the history and maybe add into that history here, and you get this opportunity this week.
Oh, yeah, I've definitely been watching this for a long time, as much as I can remember. I remember watching Prefontaine every June, watching NCAAs multiple times, seeing a lot of people run here. So it's very exciting, you know, just to have an opportunity to be in here and being part of this great environment.
So take us back to the decision to focus on the 100 meters this season, and obviously you paid dividends indoors. You won the national title. Both why that decision, and then how do you communicate that to your coach and work through the decision of how you'll reorient your schedule just to focus on the 100 meters this year?
I mean, that was a very hard decision. My favorite race of all time is the 200. I've been watching it ever since I can remember. You know, Walt was one big guy, you know, running 2020 indoors, then coming back running 19.6. So it was hard for me to turn that down, but I had to focus on, you know, which one I was better at. So and because of that, you know, I made the huge decision to come here and be just a pure 100 runner. And making that decision obviously helped me indoors and outdoors.
And Bob, you've brought teams that have won national championships, and obviously every point matters. And I'm sure in the back of your mind, you think when an athlete tells you he might want to specialize in one versus the other versus both, you kind of start doing that fuzzy math in your head. But supportive, obviously, of the decision, and it's paid dividends. Why do you think this was the right decision for him this year?
Well, first of all, credit to Coach Ken Harnden, our sprint coach, who has done an incredible job. He's had 4 guys at sub 10 legal 100 meters. He's had multiple champions. The collegiate record holder in the 100 is Ngoni Makusha. That's Florida State. That's Ken's athlete, and then Walter Dix, Ken's athlete before that. So, my job is to manage the team and to make sure that we've got chances to do whatever we can do. But my event coaches like Coach Harnden are really good about protecting the future of these guys and making sure we're not over racing them, we're not overusing them. And I mean, he's done it before indoors last year, not this year, but last year we were kind of in the mix for a podium finish. And, he steps up and says, put me in for 4x4. And gave us a nice 46 mid. So it's kind of athlete we have, but we also have to know that, what's right for them. And the fact that he's here, he's in the shape of his life, he's fit, he's ready to go is a reflection of that kind of process. And we had to do the same thing with James Harris, who has the high jump indoor national champion, potential future in the high jump, but also, he made the world team in the 4x4, potential future in the 400. And they're so close together. We lost some points by pulling him out of the high jump, but we just had to protect him, and he'll run both relays. And in the back of our mind, this young man's going to step up maybe on Saturday and carry the 4x4. We don't know.
No pressure there. We'll get to Saturday when we get to Saturday.
Good point.
You were so close last year, and the race with Silman, one of the great features of last year's championships. What does that do for motivation, and what do you realistically think is going to take to win? Because you've got another fast guy with a wind-dated time that just kind of blows your socks off. And just give us your own sense, if you're going to take yourself out of the mix, of how do you predict this 100 is going to go down?
It's going to be pretty fast.
Really?
He's not
wow, that's really insightful.
Yeah. So he's not the only one. I know people see the 9.77, but don't forget, you had a guy behind him run 9.9. You have another guy run 9.91. So there are multiple athletes in this 100. It's going to be very packed. He's just one guy. Don't forget there's another 23 people that made it. So and every 24 people, every 24 athlete are trying to make top 8. So and once you get top 8, then it's a new ball game. So he's a threat, but also second place is a threat. Also, the 24th person that made it is a threat. So it's going to be very hard, And I remember this, I just did, a couple laps around the track, did a few blocks, and I remember everything that happened last year. So it's all motivation. I remember where I messed up at, and the race went down, and I think everything happens for a reason. So I think it happened for a specific reason for me to come here and improve on what I did last year. And the only place is up. So if I execute my race and do what I'm supposed to do, hopefully I come out with a victory.
And, Coach, you talked about protecting the athletes and making sure that they aren't doing too much, and if they are ready to step up, they'll step up. But as we talked to Coach Robert Johnson in Oregon, what can you say about athletes that are able to get those last couple points, those 6th, 7th, 8th place finishes? How far do those go towards winning a championship?
I mean, they're critical. I mean, this is a premium sport where you're only scoring 8 people. In other sports like swimming and others are scoring much deeper. So your scores are huge, and we've had meets where we've lost by 1 point or 2 point, and you get on the bus and there's 3 or 4 guys going, Coach, I'm sorry, that's on me. That was my point. So, if you have 3 or 4 that all feel like they left a couple out there, that in itself demonstrates how critical those points are. I mean, remember last year we ended up with a tie, and so a lot of shocked people. We had a little issue with the 4x4. The baton goes down, and those things happen in track and field. And, a couple years ago at Des Moines, we thought we were going to win, and then you go into the second last event in the 100 hurdles, and Texas A&M guy got 8th place, but the first 2 guys got tangled up. One went down, the other got disqualified. He moves up to 6th place. That's 2 extra points. They beat us by 1. So those things happen in track and field. So you better be happy when you get those 1s and 2s because they're hard to come by.
So the effort to bring the championships here for a long run is to build momentum and to serve this sport the same way that softball and baseball, certainly the easiest comparisons where they have a place to go every year for the national championships. Put your marketing hat on for me for a second, and just what do you think from emerging as maybe one of the class of the next generation of great sprinters in the United States, what is it going to take to get this sport kind of the respect it deserves? I mean, you guys are great athletes at the highest level, the purest form of sport there is, and you all have good personalities if we could just get people to learn a little bit more about you. But what do you think is the magic recipe?
I think everybody has to stay motivated and do what we love doing. It's all about passion, and it's not about just the 100 or just the 400 or just, the 1500. It's all events. If all events go down to the wire, you have a lot more people watching. So we talk about 100 and what's going to take. Well, the pole vault is going to be very hard as well. The team championship with 4x4 is going to come down. So every event, if it comes down to the end, to the last stretch, the last 100 meters, the last 50 meters, the last inch, the last jump, all of that is going to count. And if you continue to have that for each event, you have people from LeBron to Jordan to Deion Sanders to all these other athletes that want to say, okay, well, this is a very competitive sport, just like baseball, just like football, just like boxing. So we already have a lot of people. A lot of people stand up for the 4x4. If you have people stand up for all the other events, that's why a lot of jumpers do the clap. You have a lot of people clapping and watching for the field events. If we do that for every meet, then a lot of other people want to watch. A lot of other people want to come. The more we promote it, the better it'll be.
And, Coach, Florida State coming off a national title in football, so you've seen just how big this hype can be. Andrew Weeding was on earlier. He said, kind of similar to what you're saying, marketing more of the knowledge of these other events and making it more relevant for the fans that watch it to really understand how great these performances are. What do you want to see to help the sport grow?
Well, and I've been in it a long time, so I've watched it for a lot of years, participated in it. And I think we're getting stronger every year. Our Coaches Association is very strong, and the leadership we've had over the last decade has really helped a lot. Television, our numbers are off the charts when you're talking about live streaming. I mean, I was the president of the Coach Association for cross country, and we lost national TV for cross country, but our stream numbers were bigger. Mm-hmm. So we kind of have that. We're a technological type group. So, but the general public, to capture them, the excitement, the kind of the flair of the sport. The American Track League came in this year, and we were at a meet in Virginia, and they've got music going, they got a live band. They've got the let the spectators down on the track, and can't do that here, but had a very European feel to it. They actually had cheerleaders, and there were people leaving a baseball game from Virginia, and they came right down to the track, and several thousand stuck around. So that kind of excitement, I think, is in there. So we keep working on it, the personalities of these guys. The Olympic and world stage, we're doing our part.
Excellent. Well, we expect both of you to bring plenty of excitement to Hayward Field this week. Best of luck. Thanks again for joining us. We'll be back here on TrackTown Live, and when we return, we'll take a look at a Kentucky junior who has a chance to sweep both hurdle races. You won't want to miss that. Stick around. You're watching TrackTown Live.
Kendra Harrison, the junior from Kentucky, and has the fastest time in the country.
I don't really think much about my competitors, but I know that if I do have a slip up, that there's always going to be someone there right behind me.
Watch the middle of the track.
Harrison out well, Stowers not so much. Kendra Harrison driving, one more hurdle to go, and it is Kendra Harrison, the junior from Kentucky.
I just got to keep my races more focused and just execute the best I can.
Fastest time in the SEC this year, fastest by a collegian this year, 7.94 seconds.
It means a lot just knowing that a lot of the fans are going to be Kentucky fans, and just hearing them cheer is just going to help me and motivate me to do better in my races.
She is just very impressive.
Of course, it's just a comfortable track that I've been training on throughout the whole season, so I'm going to be a little bit more comfortable, and I'm going to know where to bring it home at.
Welcome back to TrackTown Live. Jordan Kent joined by Paul Swangar. We've had a chance to talk to several athletes from all across the nation. Now we take a closer look at a hurdle event as we're joined by, well, she goes by Kenny from the University of Kentucky. Kenny, how you doing, first of all? Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
It's good to have you here. Your thoughts on Hayward Field as you get set to practice and warm up and get ready for your competition this week?
Well, I've been here a few times, so, I'm used to the atmosphere, and it's a really great atmosphere to compete at, and I'm excited.
And Coach, you've got your squad here, and just sort of the energy that's here right now as they warm up. When you get to this level at the championship meet, how much is it about just kind of managing the athletes at this point? Because there's nothing really new that you're expecting them to go out there and do.
Yeah, I mean, everything is about managing them, just making sure that they don't get too much of a high or too much of a low, and try to keep them grounded and balanced. The competition is going to be here at the time it's set to be here, so there's no point to worry about that. That's inevitable. All you could do is sort of manage yourself and make sure that you're keep your emotions in check.
Well, the great thing, and a lot of the athletes have talked about it, is the quality of the educated fan that comes to Hayward Field. And the educated fan will see you in your first heat and go, I don't remember her wearing blue last year. Talk about the transition. You were at Clemson. You and Rollins were an incredible tag team there, and just the path that led you to a new place and the decision behind that.
Well, I think, with the coaching situation, I had the opportunity to come to Kentucky or stay back at Clemson, and I saw this as, a step to go forward, a step for me to get better. I knew that Coach Hall told me about the coaches that were there and the facilities that they have, and I'm glad I made the move.
Well, as I look through your season this year, you're kind of peaking right at the right time, 1286 in the SEC Championships, a new lifetime best, if I'm not mistaken. So what are you feeling has been the difference in the training and the atmosphere there that has gotten you to the next level?
Well, I think I'm just more of an experienced hurdler. I'm not just out there to race. I know what I need to do and how to correct it. So as I learn and the more experience, I think the better I'm able to compete.
And Coach, what does it mean to have someone like this on your squad? She comes in, learning possibly how it feels to be in a different situation, but it sounds to me like she's stepped up and shown leadership where you've needed it. What does she add to just sort of the team dynamic of putting a good squad together?
Well, I mean, I think leadership is always very evident. When somebody leads by example about their training, their demeanor, and then putting their best at all time at practice, that makes a difference because it sets an example for the rest of the squad. Also having somebody who actually is sort of a nerd in hurdles. Most athletes they just want to hurdle and get it over with, but when you got somebody who's interested in just the science of it and learning and asking a lot of questions, sometimes as a coach you find athletes who are sort of like-minded as you are as a coach, and then kind of they want to get into the science of it. They want you to teach them how to, not just to hurdle, but just how to understand how to maneuver the hurdles. And if this happened, what do I do? If that happened, what do I do? And some athletes don't want to do that, but I think in Kenny's case, she's into the science of it. She wants to know if this situation happened in the middle of the race. I don't want to look in the stands and ask you. I want to know what I need to do. So she's more of an elite hurdler on that. So we've done a lot of teaching, a lot of maneuvering, a lot of film watching and measuring and technique, and she's into all of that, which typically you only find coaches who does that, but as an athlete, it's rare to watch an athlete do that.
And Coach, you've been a part of 4 national titles with Arkansas. You won a title here in 1988 in the triple jump, and you were a 2-time Olympian. As this sport has sort of grown, it was very, very popular in the 80s, and then it dipped a little bit, and then now it's starting to come back. And we've talked with a lot of people on the show about trying to get these championships on par with the softball, with the baseball as it's starting to grow. What are some things you would like to see in the sport as it tries to really put itself into the limelight?
Yeah, I mean, I think as coaches, we just have to do a better job of paying attention to the fans. I think that's the missing link. Track has been track, and I think it's always going to be. Our sport is a completely different animal, and I think sometimes we try to make it too much like everything else. I think if we do a better job of marketing, I remember way back when I didn't even want to watch golf on TV, and golf is a major draw on TV, and I think they've done a good job selling their sport and making it accessible to the fan and packaging it in a way that fans can appreciate it. And I think it's the same thing for track. We just have to really worry about the fans and what the fans want. Do they want to see excitement? Do they want to see short? Do they want to see long? And I don't think we just pay enough attention to them and their needs. You go to basketball, there's never a dull moment. There's a timeout. Somebody runs out there and they're doing backflips. In track, when there's a timeout, there's nothing going on. And I think if we manage that better and really entertain the fan, I think the fans will appreciate the package that is already there as opposed to changing it. We've tweaked it in 4 regions and 5 regions. I think it's time for us to sort of leave it alone and really worry about the fans and then doing a better marketing job.
So I think they're doing the pole vault in Manhattan leading into the Adidas Grand Prix this weekend. The Kansas Relays, of course, do their shot put outside and in the downtown square. Drake Relays did a high jump in a grocery store this year. Where do we put the hurdles? What's the inventive idea to get the hurdles out of the field of play and show the fans how interesting a sport it is? What would you do?
Well, I mean, I think it'd be cool to put it in the middle of the street here, just get enough rubber, and get 10 hurdles, and allow the fans to be part of it. But
figure 8 maybe.
Kenny might think differently.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the shuttle hurdles, I actually find that, and I had not seen them really. We don't do it out here west, but when I was at the Drake Relays announcing a couple years ago, I mean, that's just controlled chaos, and it's fun to watch. But we'll go back a little bit to this whole thing about you being a nerd, because I'm still struggling with that. What is it about this event, either in the 400 or the 100 meters, that really excites you from the science and the technique side? And where do you feel like you've still got room, just knowing it within yourself right now, that you can make some improvements and maybe go after, Rollins' mark, which was the highlight of last year's race, the collegiate record?
Well, I think the 100 and 400 hurdles are two different events. I feel like as a short hurdler, you got to be able to sprint and have the sprint mechanics, and I think I have that pretty down pat. So, the hurdles, the short events is just technique and also the sprint aspect. And long hurdles, I mean, of course, it's a little bit more leadway. If you mess up a little bit, you can still get back into the race. And I think I do that pretty well. I think I'm able to bounce back and forth to each of them and compete just as well as the other athletes who are just in one.
And when people throw out the idea that you could pull a Queen Harrison and win both, which are very different races, is that motivation? Do you really don't care the comparison? But it would be a huge accomplishment, and you've got a legitimate shot to do it this week.
Yeah, I mean, I love Queen. I used to train with her when she was at Clemson, and she just encouraged me along the way. And I think it'd be pretty awesome for another Harrison to do what she did. And I definitely think I have what it takes, and I'm going to be going after for it.
And Kenny, I remember when I was an athlete at this meet, you're excited to compete yourself, but watching the other athletes too, because there's some incredible athletes out there. Is there anybody or any race that you're looking forward to watching?
Well, I love the 400. It's just like another, just kind of like the 400 hurdle, except there's no hurdles. So
a little bit easier, right? They go the easy way.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great race to watch. And also the 100, just how fast people are able to turn over and how close the race is going to be.
Excellent. Well, thank you both for joining us again. Best of luck this week as you are here at Hayward Field, and we're excited to see how you guys do. All right, well, there's another Kentucky Wildcat that's certainly making noise at the NCAA meet. Desiree Bryant is entered into the 100 and 200. She's a World Junior medalist and has one of the top marks in both of those events. She's one of 13. Yes, 13 athletes, folks, that has entered in both events. Let's take a closer look at Desiree.
Desiree Bryant has run the fastest she's ever run.
Power and explosiveness getting out of the blocks.
And Bryant out very quickly. She's already gone. Bryant in the middle of the track. It's over in this 60-meter final.
I feel like working with these group of girls, I feel like everybody, we all make each other better. It's not like, oh, she's better than me. No, it's like a group effort.
Boy, has she made a debut here in this conference.
You always have to be confident in the things that you're doing, but never complacent. You still have to work hard and do the things that you do on a daily basis in order to continue to beat those, because, I mean, obviously nobody likes to get beat, so they probably working as hard as they can to come and beat me, so I just always have to be on my toes.
This crowd is stunned, though.
But Bryant has just peaked perfectly for this conference championship.
What do you like better, the 100 or the 200?
I get asked that a lot. I like both of them. Probably the 200, maybe because I feel more relaxed instead of thinking about just running fast in 100. The 200 is longer, so I feel more relaxed. So probably the 200.
Fastest woman in the SEC.
Welcome back into TrackTown Live. Jordan Kent joined by Paul Swangard. We've had a chance to talk to several athletes. A lot of them are on the watch list for the Bowerman Award, and it's very similar to other prestigious awards in other sports where we contractually cannot say their names, of course, but you're aware of them in football and basketball. And it goes out to Paul, essentially the most outstanding athlete in track and field, and it's a very competitive award.
It is indeed, and I love the spirit of it, and a chance to recognize, the dual nature of this, because we have an outstanding woman and an outstanding male athlete of the year, and the notion of showcasing just the tremendous accomplishments that these folks make each and every year. And we're going to have a chance to bring Sam Seams in again, who's been partly responsible for getting this idea off the ground. And as we bring Sam in, I guess, let's start with sort of the genesis of the idea. Y'all, sitting around a room in New Orleans in the French Quarter, pondering ways to increase the visibility of our great athletes. Is there a good story to this?
Well, I don't know if it's a great story, other than I guess some people would say I don't have much of a life, because I think of these things sometimes on a Saturday night at midnight or something. But we were looking for some ways to again give some legitimate exposure to the sport and to the student athletes that are doing such outstanding work. And we're all familiar with that one pose of a trophy, and everybody knows about that. And we think that the track athletes are just as good as the football players and the basketball players and the volleyball players and so on and so forth. And we wanted to look for an iconic way to recognize them, not short term, but infinity down the road. And what better a person from a sports standpoint is a symbol of track and field at the collegiate level than Bill Bowerman. And thank goodness Miss Bowerman, before she unfortunately passed away, gave us permission to use Mr. Bowerman's name and create the award, and it's been way beyond our expectations.
And Sam, what is the challenge when selecting the recipient for this award? Because you've got athletes of all different levels, and how do you compare say a 10K runner to a sprinter in the 100? When you go to football and basketball, it's pretty easy to pull up a sheet of paper and compare stats, but when you've got such a diverse group of athletes, what do you focus on as far as giving this award away?
The first focus was, when we developed it, was that my hands don't touch it at all. So we created a Bowerman Advisory Committee of some collegiate administrators and some well-known track statisticians around the country, because we wanted to make sure and have legitimacy to it. We stole all the ideas that we thought were good from other awards, including all the votes are mailed into a CPA firm, and we don't open it up until that night on stage. But I think without a doubt the hardest task for the committee is trying to break it down to 10 basically on a monthly basis, and then at the end trying to get it to 3. Last year we had some multiple NCAA champions, and including the young lady who had won the Bowerman the year before that couldn't even crack the top 3 again last year. So that's always a tough battle, and I know it's really gut-wrenching for those committee members.
Well, we're showing some of the previous winners, and you can pretty much see them and name them. Guys like Ash Neaton, you saw Jenny Behringer there earlier, and the award that's presented that was designed by Tinker Hatfield. Last 2 on the men's side have actually been Canadians. I'm half Canadian. I had to point that out. Derek Drouin. You see Galen Rupp as well, along with Tinker, who designed the award. And Sam, I guess I think the point is well taken. In a sport where variety is the heritage and what makes this place unique, it's really hard sometimes to get the same person to emerge each and every year as the true MVP. And I suppose that's actually good in many ways, that the person who won last year can't necessarily always assume that they're going to be right there at the top the next year.
Well, I think it's indicative of the committee's work as to how much time and effort that they put into it. They just don't reach back and say, oh, well, such and such did it last year, so they should automatically be in this time. It's a procedure each go around, and I think that when you have legitimacy, then people respect it. And this will be the 6th year coming up that we've given the Bowerman. And I really think in a really short time period, we have earned respect and gained integrity on the process that people feel good about. Some people may be disappointed, but they feel good about the process. And one of our measures of success is, I went into our director of communications, Tom Lewis, about the 3rd year or so, and I said, Tom, we have got people's attention on this, because I'm getting phone calls where people are really mad that their student athlete isn't even on the watch list. that was a sign of success, I think.
They usually say if you don't have haters, then you aren't doing something right there. So good for you. This championship meet, how far does that go in helping dictate the award winner? Because you can have some athletes that might post a very impressive time earlier in the season, but when they come here and compete at the championship level, how much weight do you think that holds as far as being at the top of the list?
I think it has a lot. It covers both the indoor and the outdoor season. So you not only got to do well probably at the outdoor meet, but well at the indoor meet. Or let's say if you're somebody like a discus or a javelin thrower who's only got one event and it's not indoors, you really got to blow it outdoors. And so it's really hard. We haven't had anybody yet that hadn't been an NCAA champion. And a lot of times we've had some student athletes who have won 2 events at the NCAA championships and still not got it because somebody else had big. So it's your moment to make that last big push. And obviously, as humans, we always remember the last thing that impresses us. You know?
Well, and as we were talking to you there, we put on the screen for our viewers the look at the current watch list, and it's a phenomenal set of talent. I mean, if you were building a track team and you wanted to compete effectively at this championship every year, that'd be the ultimate fantasy team. It's
phenomenal how deep that the list is, and I guarantee you there'll be a couple people on that list this week who have outstanding meets here. Somebody new will probably move on to that list and move them off because they hit it up another notch and they were just barely below coming in.
Well, Sam, thank you again for joining us. And that's one of the beautiful things about this meet is you never quite know who's going to step up and emerge and put on a showcase here at Hayward Field. So it's up for grabs, as you might say. So even though that we've got 10 athletes for the men and women, it's anybody's race.
And certainly is. And we've got the Bowerman Trophy here on display this week. So stop by down in the little village down here under the scoreboard and check it out.
Excellent. All right, well, plenty more coming back here on TrackTown Live when we return. We'll also have a chance to give you an update on what to expect tomorrow with more of our coverage, so make sure you stick around.
Here in the West, we have our own unique perspective. Visionary. Innovative. Progressive. This is our blueprint for excellence. It's what makes us the Conference of Champions.
The administrators, educators, coaches, and fans of the Missouri Valley Conference expect nothing but the best from their teams. And the Valley student athletes take pride in exceeding that expectation. On the field, on the court, on the track, and in the classroom. Celebrating academic and athletic excellence for more than 100 years. This is the Missouri Valley Conference.
Welcome back to TrackTown Live. You're taking a live look at beautiful, historic Hayward Field, home of the 2014 NCAA Championships. Jordan Kent joined by Paul Swangard. We've had a chance to talk to several athletes across the country that will be competing in this championships, vying for that prestigious team title. And it's been a joy, first of all, just to kind of get a chance to broadcast a lot of this. And we want to welcome in 2 gentlemen from Flow Track, Mitch Castoff and Gordon Mack. Gentlemen, welcome to the big stage. How are we doing?
Thanks for having us. This is great. You got the nice little trophies on the front. I love it.
It is a pleasure to be here, and I don't think the backdrop could be any nicer right now.
It is Convention and Visitors Bureau weather here in Western Oregon. It's actually been this way for about 3 weeks, but the only thing we haven't really touched on it today is the pollen counts that are already legendary in Eugene, Oregon are, I think, the highest they've been since 2010. So we're hoping for the best and hoping medication that's legally approved by whoever you need to have it approved by will be used in plenty. Guys, you know, for those who follow the sport, Flow Track is, you know, is the name synonymous with if there's a meet to be seen, we'll see it on Flow Track. And it's got to be a dream to be in that situation where you get to travel the country as a fan and turn that into kind of your passion driver and in this case your vocation. Just give us a sense of how you guys got into it and why it is that you continue to abuse yourself with all these travel miles each and every year.
You say abuse. I'm looking forward to my platinum upgrade very soon.
Very true.
I got into it. I ran middle school, high school, college back in New York State, and I applied to Flow Track right after the 2012 Olympics. I called the Olympic wave. I used to be a middle school social studies teacher back in New York, and I caught wind of. I always loved track, and after the Olympics, it really just, you know, kind of rushed in my body, an epiphany of sorts in August, and they had an opening, and I applied, and I consider myself a jack of all trades, a master of nothing, but I sold them on that. And here I am 2 years later.
With platinum status. It's just like
almost.
Almost. Well, work in progress. And how about you?
So I actually applied for Mitch's job and did not get it. So I had to wait an extra year before I was able to be granted the opportunity to work for FlowTrack. But I started just in January. It's been unreal. Literally every weekend you're going to a different track meet. You're seeing different athletes, college, pro, even high school. And seriously, it's the best thing ever for track fans.
And this is his first time at Hayward.
Yeah, I've never been here.
First time in Hayward,
I know, right?
And?
Oh, it's beautiful. I'm from the East Coast, so we normally don't get to go to the West Coast meets as often, but finally, after post-college, I get to see the place, and it's gorgeous. I mean, hopefully they're going for 2019 Worlds, I think it is.
That's the rumor.
Yeah. That would be great.
Well, plenty of people here would love to get that as well. We've talked in length about how to market this sport even more. We keep mentioning the College World Series for both baseball and softball, the Frozen Four, and how those are really starting to increase in popularity over the past decade. And what you're doing at FlowTrack is certainly helping the sport. What would you like to see at the collegiate level as far as getting track and field to the level where the average sports fan, not just the diehard track fan, is going to tune in, pay attention, and be passionate about it?
I'll take this one. I'm all about the team battle. I think it's within this inclusive circle of track and field fans, it's very intense and it's very passionate. But for an outsider, it's kind of difficult to follow, not just at the championship level, but through the whole year. So you have many talented individuals here, and you have many talented teams here. But to follow that this weekend of projections, or like what makes a championship team, this being a championship meet, we're going to hand out there's 20 some odd individual events, but there's one team trophy, and the team trophy is, I think, the most important component.
You know, it was interesting. Pat Henry, who we have on tomorrow from A&M at the Track and Field Writers Association breakfast last year, was actually talking about just throwing out the idea of a team championship. You would actually field the best teams, and they would bring their team with those events, and it may not be someone who necessarily would have qualified it as an individual, and conceivably could be a separate event to this one as well. I don't think you want to gut what's already got you this far, but yeah, I think for the layman fan, probably you would agree that it's I like Oregon. I don't like Florida. Therefore, I will cheer for Oregon versus cheering for that one individual athlete.
Yeah, exactly. Like what Pat Henry has been saying. Look at kind of cross country. There are still individual qualifiers in cross country, but it's all about that team. You can do the same thing in track where you have individual qualifiers, but then they just get jumped for a team battle standing. So the top 10, top 12 teams in the nation come here and battle and kind of treat it like a conference meet, because everyone knows conference meets are unreal because everyone's battling for points here and there. But when it gets spread out so thin on national level, it only gets down to one or two teams, and it's really not much surprises or upsets, whereas in a conference, it's really like 6 teams going at it. We're here, if you're a sprint-heavy school or you're Oregon and you're so dominant in the distance, you have an opportunity to win.
Well, whether you're FlowTrack, your Track and Field News, or any of the other outfits, you have your PhDs sitting in some dark dungeon somewhere doing all the dope sheets, we call them, for these meets. As I looked at my projections using some of the stuff I saw from Track and Field News, it doesn't go that deep in most of the races, right? We've got probably really a 2-team race on the men's side, a little bit broader on the women's side. Just how do you guys see things shaking out, and what do you really interested in watching?
Is your specialty right here.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, on the men's side, I would say it's 2 teams race, but also Texas A&M is in that sleeper corner. They could have a chance. If they have a great meet, they have a chance to upseed Oregon and Florida. But right now, Oregon is definitely the team to beat on the men's side. They just have so many points spread out everywhere, from field to distance. I mean, they could easily score 7 guys in the 5K and 10K combined. That is unreal. They just dominate those areas. So Oregon is a team to beat. Florida, it's definitely one.
What were the 2 totals you had for those top 2 teams?
So I had Oregon scoring over 80 points and Florida in the high 70s. So normally it takes 50 points to win a meet. In this case, 2 teams can score 80. That's unreal. That means they are clearly dominating the entire national scene across the field.
And on the women's side, it really comes down to different specialties. You talk about, I think there's 4 women for Texas in the 400 meters, and then you've got Jenna Prandini, who's going to have to carry the load for the Oregon women. She's expected to score top points in 100, 200 long jump, be in the relays. That women's race, to me, is my favorite. I think that's going to come down to the last race.
Yeah, it's interesting. I noticed the women's field, I feel like there's 4 teams in the mix. You have Oregon, Texas, Texas A&M, and Florida. Texas clearly is the favorite right now because they have a slew of athletes. The way Oregon can really upset Texas is they just need their stars to be stars. They're looking on 8-10 points coming from individuals. Texas is trying to just spread out points, but Oregon needs just big baller performances from their top girls like Phyllis Francis, Jenna Prandini, Laura Raisler, etc. So it's gonna be individually on Oregon. If they can all do really great, they could definitely have a potential to go win the men and women, which would be a great thing to do in the home field.
So I have on the women's projections Texas, Oregon, A&M, and Florida, and then you look at their 4x4 ranks coming in for this last race. Texas ranked number 1, Oregon 2, A&M 4, and Florida 3. I mean, if you can't write a script on paper to prepare to kind of build that momentum to that last race, I mean, I guess the scriptwriters have to be picking this up for an option for a movie, right?
It's like they make my job as an editor easy for these storylines. So let's take the 4x4. Let's take the men's 4x4 last year. The only way A&M could have possibly have not won the title is if they finished last, and it's exactly what happened. Incredible drama. And then indoor, and I think this is a objective fact, the best end to a track and field meet of all time. It comes down to the 4x4. Whoever wins the 4x4 wins the national championship, and it took a collegiate record lean at the line. Like he was in the Bahamas for the World Relay Championship.
Oh, what are you doing in the Bahamas at that time?
And they had a fire cannon after every race, and that's the only thing that race needed. This is fire cannon. And so the 4x4, yes, absolutely stacked. It's a great finale. I wish there was an encore afterwards, but we take what we can get.
Well, we're going to give all honor and due to ESPN. We'll step up with national coverage here on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday within the margins there for those who rely on you guys to get inside the velvet rope coverage of track and field. What can we expect from you guys this week?
I mean, we're going to be here all week, obviously get the post-race interviews, trying to do some projections, predictions, and really cover the meet from the outside perspective of what a television. So we want to get the inside story, not just who wins, but the kid who all of a sudden scored out of nowhere, coming out of nowhere with a huge PR, really trying to show the whole story, not just the winners type story.
And maybe following you around your first visit to Eugene to
yeah,
all the haunt?
I need to do a little blog. I should put a GoPro on my forehead or something. Enjoy this time.
Now, finally, you've talked about a lot of athletes, a lot of performances. You get one event to watch at this meet. Which one is it?
You asked me this in the car, right? As we pulled in, that's the only question he asked me. Women's 400. Hands down, it has everything that you need. It has the American record indoor holder, who is from Oregon, Phyllis Francis, the recent collegiate outdoor record holder, Courtney Acola from Texas, and then, what am I missing there? Ashley Spencer, two-time champion, transferring from Illinois to Texas, and on top of that, you have the team battle. I think Texas won 1-3-4-7 was our projections for them, and that's big. You get one shot to get those points. You can't make those back if they slip up. There's no room for error. If they slip up just a little, it's going to spell disaster for UT.
I'll say my event I'm looking most forward to is the men's 1500. You know, you saw what Oregon was able to do a couple years ago when they were able to sweep, going 1-2-3 with a stud phenom of those, what they've become now, you see. But that 1500, Lowy Lang is in that race. He's going to be coming off that 5K, but that'll be his final collegiate race here. He's done phenomenal things for Arizona. And then Mac Fleet, he's a defending champ. He wants to, he's upset getting third in the mile indoors, so he definitely wants to defend that outdoor championships. But then I also feel like there's some people in that 1500 that no one's talking about. Clearly the favorites are Lowy and Fleet. But I have a personal favorite who I think might be able to beat them both. But we'll see what.
You're not releasing that at this time?
We got to create drama for tomorrow. We got to create drama
fade to black.
Tomorrow. Exactly. Well, Mitch, Gordon, thank you so much for joining us. Certainly excited to see what you'll be sharing with everybody throughout the meet. And don't forget, you can catch another episode of TrackTown Live tomorrow, streaming from 1 to 2:30. For Jordan Kent, Paul Swangard, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. We'll see you tomorrow.